Sergio's win. Exactly, because he's closed in now from 8 points down to 2 points per second in the Drivers' Championship. His fourth win of his career, 230 races. My big question is, did he drive well over the course of the weekend? Because he was quite a long way off Max's pace in qualifying until Max had to abort 2 laps.
Well, wasn't you saying, Matt, that he probably wasn't doing his job as a number 2 and should get kicked out? I think I remember you saying something along those lines.
I was talking to the president of the Sergio Perez supporters club, Alex Yoong.
Yeah. I think he did a really good job. Yeah, no doubt he's still struggling to match Max. But, Perez did exactly what a number 2 has to do when he's with Red Bull this time, which is pick up wins when the chance presents itself. And he's now done it on 2 of the hardest tracks in the calendar, Monaco and Singapore. That's not to say he's off the hook, for sure. And you're right. You probably go to Suzuka next, and he'll be 7/10 off Max there. But it was a welcome reminder, I think, that he is pretty much fulfilling exactly what the number 2 driver has to do at Red Bull.
Yeah,
would you agree with that, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I think you don't hire Sergio Perez to blow away Max Verstappen or even cause Max to look over his shoulder at any point. You hire Sergio Perez to do the job if there's a necessity to do it, if Max has some sort of problem, isn't up to speed, whatever, do all the stuff behind the scenes in the sim. And he is the perfect other driver. I wouldn't even call him a number 2. He's just the other driver at Red Bull. I can't think of a better driver combination, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, actually, in the history of Formula One, actually. I mean, it is absolutely perfect. And if anything, Sergio has over-delivered, really, because, and I take issue with the qualifying thing, because the reason he was on the front row was not because Max ran out of fuel. It was because Max, on 3 attempts to do a quick lap, made a glitch, had a slight error in sector 2 where it was getting very wet after the bridges and came out of the lap. So he didn't do 3 slow laps, which if he'd done that, he wouldn't have run out of fuel. He did 3 reasonably quick laps that he aborted, and that's where the fuel went. And Sergio didn't make those errors and was just as quick. So actually on this circuit, again, Max hasn't learned from what happened at Monaco, and Sergio did a better job on Saturday and Sunday, obviously on Sunday. And I think he was absolutely superb. If I can just say one other thing, though, and that is I thought it was really significant, given the way they work as a team. I think it was really significant that Max was the only driver to do any sort of long run with fuel in the car on the Friday in FP2. And Ferrari, of course, didn't do anything. They did the usual thing of just trying to set the car up for qualifying. Rained on Saturday. Which team had more feedback and more information on how the medium was going to perform with some sort of race fuel load? Red Bull. In this occasion, it was actually Max that did the homework for Sergio. And if that isn't a good team, what is?
And that's a really good point, actually, Peter, because also you're a really good point to point out Verstappen. He's been beaten by his teammate on both street tracks. Because for me, Verstappen ticks all the boxes to be a great, great driver. Legendary driver we'll be talking about for decades to come. Except one, which is he's never actually been super impressive on street tracks. And that is quite interesting, And I wonder if Max, probably is, that if that will start to bother him at some point.
Well, I think... I mean, one of Max's great qualities is that he is self-critical, like Charles Leclerc, like Lewis. All great drivers are self-critical. And in the build-up to Singapore, one of the big question marks in my mind, and I said so on our stream, was whether or not Max had learnt from what happened at Monaco, because it's very clear that Sergio's ability to get the power on at a linear rate out of slow corners, perfectly loading up the loaded rear with acceleration, is unsurpassed in Formula One, the best since Kimi Räikkönen, probably. That is what he does well. He doesn't do a lot of other things brilliantly, but that's what he does really well. So these circuits are built for him. And you would have thought that after Monaco, I think Max did learn, because he was pretty near him, as Matt says, in the drive. But when it was wet, that's when Max needs to sit back and say, well, no, he's still doing a few things that I'm not doing with the throttle out of slow corners. Because it wasn't on any of the medium or high-speed stuff that Max was suffering. It was on that slow corner stuff. So, it behoves Max now to dig deep and make sure that never happens again, if he's to tick all the boxes that need to be ticked to be truly great. But at the moment, right now, Sergio Perez is a better driver out of slow corners than Max Verstappen, particularly in the wet, obviously.